BEYA 2025, another exciting interview with another exciting person. David Jones joins us. So David, it's an honor to sit here. Lumena Energy.
Yes.
Tell us about Lumena Energy.
Yeah, so Lumena Energy just happens to be the largest black-owned virtual power plant in America. And what that means, a virtual power plant is different from a traditional energy provider, meaning that we're able to turn any standing structure into an energy generator and an energy battery storage system. Connect those two things together with a piece of software and remotely control them. So whatever organizations like a Con Ed can do, we can do at a much larger scale. We can scale much more rapidly, and we can take more burden on from the communities that we focus on, especially in municipalities and with local and international governments.
So David, you know, we got to start from the beginning, from a standpoint of how does a young man get into this? Did it start off as you're an engineer? How did it start off?
Yeah, so actually prior to getting into tech, I was a pilot. And I've traveled now to...
It keeps growing. The legend keeps growing. Well, I was a pilot first. Wow. Okay, so let's start off with little David.
Sure.
Background, household, where, when, how?
Yeah, so little David, I was born in Toledo, Ohio. I moved to Chicago, Illinois when I was 3. Single parent household rather. My mom, she did her best to raise me. I was around a lot of influential people growing up, like Reverend Jesse Jackson, Louis Farrakhan. I grew up in Hyde Park, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area. Yeah, so just around all kinds of black excellence. I didn't know at the time, but I sat next to who would become President Barack Obama and his kids at many different breakfasts. He came up, shook my hand, said, "You're going to be something one day." I didn't believe him, but here we are.
Not because you look like him a little bit. Little Barack, he saw something in you.
He saw something in me, yeah.
Wow.
So I have gone on, I speak 6 languages now, 4 of them fluently. I've traveled to 78 countries. I did my undergrad at Juilliard. I did my master's program at MIT.
Interesting mix. So Juilliard, music Juilliard?
Music Juilliard, yes.
What was your instrument?
I was a clarinetist, but then I found out that there were people who've been playing since they were in the womb. So I said, well, this isn't for me. So I switched to film score composition.
Music, film score composition. We still haven't got to, how did you get to the pilot part?
Yeah, so I've obviously had multiple careers in my lifetime, but a mentor, he imputed some amazing values to me. And at the time, when I was a film score composer, I realized that this was during the recession, by the way. So there was no money to be had, and I like to eat food. So I said, well, I'm going to make a drastic shift. So I said, well, I listened to my mentor. His words of wisdom were, if you want to find out who you are in the world, go visit the world, go see the world. And that is exactly what I did. So I started off working with a small airline in O'Hare Airport. And then they gave us like what's called flight benefits, so that enabled us to basically travel around the world on what's called non-revenue, and all we would have to do is pay the taxes. And I said, this is really, really interesting. So after that, I went to flight school. I got my private pilot's license. I did an accelerated program that lasted about 2 years or so. And during that time, I did travel to I think it was like 70 countries at that moment. And then I realized some of the inherent issues that we in America face are more rampant and more cataclysmic in other countries. So there's something that exists called the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
I'm not.
So the SDG is basically it's a list of everything that needs to be resolved in order for us to live in a utopian society.
Wow.
So I specifically chose energy because during a trip to Thailand, and this is no exaggeration, I was sitting at a coffee shop, and across the street was a 7-Eleven, and there was a child who was doing his homework, the full desk setup and everything in front of the 7-Eleven. And I went up to him, and his parents were there, and I asked him very candidly, I said, well, why is this happening? And they were like, well, we don't know when our power is ever going to come back on, because they have what's called load shedding crisis. Wow. The load shedding crisis means that there's just simply not enough demand. So instead of even dealing with an overload of systems, the energy company will just shut down the power entirely.
Wow.
And that happens often. So you're talking they may have 3 to 4 hours of power per day consistently, and then it'll just come on in spurts. So I said, I could probably fix this. Yeah.
And that inspired your company.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and by the way, when I was traveling, I taught myself how to code while I was flying, and I didn't do anything illegal, so nothing crazy like that. But as I was flying, I had a laptop. I taught myself how to code, and I built my first piece of software. And one of the first things that I built was an energy management system, and that allowed us to forecast, manage, and then eventually share that energy back into the grid, which became the foundation for the virtual power plant.
And there we have it.
There we have it.
This is the beauty of BEYA. With minds like yours, I have no chance. So it's like, I don't feel bad. You don't feel like you're wasting your time, or you wasted your time, because learning to teach yourself code while you're flying couldn't happen for me. So thank you. Thank God for you and your company. One more time, tell us about your company as we wrap things up.
Yeah, so Lumena Energy is a virtual power plant technology company. We're located in Chicago, and we are the largest Black-owned virtual power plant company in America. We manufacture our own equipment, and we work with municipalities to get them back to a place where they don't have to worry about blackouts or natural disasters anymore.
Coming to a city and state near you.
Amen, brother.
What an honor to talk to you,
Thank
my
you so
friend.
much, sir.
There's so much inspiration at BEYA 2025.